So let's narrow the focus down a little bit. Like, at this point in time, what was an average day in the life of Joe Matheny looking like?
Yeah. Wake up, usually make some strong Turkish coffee because I was like really into Turkish coffee then.
Hell yeah.
I had a picture window in my living room that overlooked the ocean, and we talked about that. Like, I was living in a time and place where you could have an ocean view and not have millions of dollars at your disposal.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and drink my coffee and stare at the ocean as the sun came up over the ocean. And my cat at the time, I had this gigantic black cat I ironically named Anubis. And he would sit on my lap and I'd drink my coffee and I'd stare at the ocean. And then I would do some yoga and meditation. And then at that time in my life, I was doing lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And as I vibrated, my cat Anubis would vibrate with me, which was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'd be like, Ata, and he'd like, meow. It was awesome. Like my downstairs neighbor, Nina Gerboy, actually, she said, "What are you doing to your cat?" And I'm like, "I'm doing ritual," and he's doing it with me. And she's like, "That's amazing." Yeah, I'm like, you hear it every morning, so like, don't worry, I'm not torturing him.
That's awesome.
He's singing along with me to welcome the morning. And then when I get done with that, I would go get some more coffee, and I had lawn chairs out on my deck, and I'd sit on the deck and listen to the waves and the seagulls, and there was sea lions nearby, and you would hear them every morning, or as that was going on, and I'd just kind of welcome the morning, and then turn on the radio about, I don't know, like when the sun was properly up, whatever time that was.
Yeah.
And then turn on the radio, and there was Santa Cruz at the time had like all these left of 90 stations. Some of them were college stations. Some of them were just independent lefty stations that usually ran by donations. And there was like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh wow!
And I was on the stations a lot because I knew all the DJs, so like they would have me on.
Hell yeah!
Dave Emery and Mae Brussel was real big, and they had shows on these stations, and people used to play Alan Watts tapes a lot, and it was really cool. So it was like all this psychedelia, spiritualism, conspiracy theories, the Kennedy assassination and stuff was still big at the time. So all of this was on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was like cool music, and there was like, of course, there was a lot of hippie music, but there was also a lot of like industrial scene stuff. Like Don Campo had something on KKUP, and so you'd always find one of these stations that was playing something you'd want to hear.
Hell yeah!
And so I'd sit there and listen to that as I drank my coffee and take a shower. And at that time, I had this awesome job. It was my first proper tech job, where I was I was building injectors, which were these devices that went into something called a atmospheric chemical vapor deposition reactor.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. which was a device that was used to make integrated circuit chips.
Okay.
And so the injectors were these very precise devices that you made out of stainless steel, and you had to be so precise that you actually had to look at things through a scanning electron microscope to see if you were getting everything precise down to a micron, because you were basically making circuit chips that were like microns thick.
Yeah.
And so you were building these devices that were building those circuit chips, and so that was one of my jobs. So like, I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were my days on. I do 13 hours a day, 8 hours at regular time, 4 hours at time and a half, and then the last hour was double time.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I'd work 3 days and make more than if I'd worked 5 days, a 5-day, 40-hour week.
Yeah.
And I had 4 days off every week. Monday through Thursday was my weekend.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And luckily, at the time, my girlfriend had a job that was like weekends too. She was like waitressing at a cafe like 2 blocks from our apartment. So she was working when I was working.
That's awesome. Because that could be like the one downside of a gig like that.
Yeah, but this worked out.
Hell yeah.
So we had 4 days off, like to do whatever we wanted to do, and like I did a lot of surfing, a lot of hanging out on the beach. a lot of LSD, a lot of mushrooms, a lot of magical rituals, and a lot of time, like hanging out with my friends in cafes and just things like that.
Yeah.
It was very laissez-faire lifestyle.
Yeah, it just sounds like a cool time, honestly.
Yeah. And the job was I liked the people I worked with. The job was very interesting, compelling, good conversations.
Right on.
And the work I was doing was interesting. It's like I was learning a lot about how computers were constructed from the ground up. I mean, literally from the ground up. And so that was interesting to learn.
Absolutely.
I had a IBM Selectrix typewriter at home, and I used to spend a lot of time doing longhand because there were no computer notebooks per se at the time.
Right.
There was, you're gonna love this. There was a in air quotes a portable computer that I got my hands on. It was made by COMPLEAT, and if you took you remember those old desktop computers that you used to have to put under your desk?
Oh yeah.
They were so hard, like a tower.
Yeah.
So it was if you laid a tower down sideways, it was that big.
Oh my God.
It had a handle on it like a suitcase, and then the monitor was built into the face of it, and then the keyboard clamped over the monitor. And so you would carry this thing. It was heavy. You would carry this thing, set it up, unplug it, pull the keyboard out, and so that was portable.
Right.
It came with a backpack so you could carry it. And that's a portable computer back then. So I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not taking that thing anywhere. I'm definitely not taking it to the cafe.
Fucking nerd.
So yeah. So I would write in longhand, and then I would come home and I would like transcribe anything I wanted to keep into my electric typewriter, which my electric typewriter actually had memory.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So it would save. I could save text.
Yeah.
On a diskette.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course I had an Apple computer at the time because that's what everybody had. It's like kind of the only thing available. You could get a DOS computer, and I think Windows 3.1 had started to show up. But for the most part, if you were doing anything, you were doing it on the Mac. So I was writing novels, most of which never saw the light of day.
Tell me about it.
I saved some of it and incorporated later into other work. But like I wrote 2 novels that I never published. Mostly I just wanted to learn how to write a novel.
Yeah.
And I read this thing where Hunter S. Thompson said he taught himself how to write a novel by picking a novel somebody else had written that was like he liked and typing it out by hand.
I remembered that, like, just to get the feel of what it feels like to write a novel,
yeah, exactly. Have you done that?
I respect it. I don't think I could bring myself to do that, but I get what he was going for, or where he was coming from.
Yeah, so I did it, and you learn 2 things. You learn the discipline of writing a novel. Which, like the manual discipline of sitting in front of the computer or the typewriter.
Yeah.
And later the computer and just sitting and just hammering away. And then the other thing that you learn is like you learn how people wrote sentences and how they constructed things because you're paying attention because you're transcribing. So you're like, oh, why did he write it that? Oh, I see why he wrote it that way. You start to learn why people punctuate the way they do, like because you learn what you learn in school of punctuation, but like when you're reading a novel, you might like read Bukowski or Hemingway or Kerouac or any of these people, and you like what they did was very different than what you learned in grammar school.
Oh, very much so, yeah. No, that makes so much sense, actually. Like, how else you're never going to put yourself otherwise in a situation where you're actually like deconstructing the craft of it, the actual mechanics.
Yeah, and that's really what was happening is it forces you to deconstruct the mechanics of how they constructed their novel.
Oh, fuck it, I might try that.
And you start to see like and pick a couple different writers. So like pick Hemingway and then pick Jack London and then pick Kerouac. Of course, you punctuated nothing,
right?
And barely even broke for a paragraph. But that made sense. Like you're reading it and you're like, oh yeah, I see what this guy was doing. He's driving around the country with his friend Dean,
right? And
he's taking speed and drinking lots of coffee and listening to jazz.
That's how he's writing too.
And that's what he's writing. He's writing the pace of what he's living.
Yeah.
And so you pick up on it, like, and then you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. So it kind of shows you the mechanics of other writers, but it also shows you like what you can do with your writing. And you start thinking about like, well, why don't I have my own voice? And then you start looking for your voice.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was doing that, and then also I was taking lots of copious notes because I was reading everything I could find about the idea about a book. The concept of a book, this whole idea I'd come up with of a living book.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, like how do you construct something like that? And so I would just sit there and take just copious notes in spiral notebooks. And like, when I do it, I'm going to do this. Or like, here's an idea. And I'd be reading something and I'd start like writing down paragraphs from the book I was reading and like, this is idea for the living book,
Sure, yeah. And like at this point, did you know that the incunabula would be a part of the living book, or is that just another thing that
everything was a part of the living book at this point? Everything I was touching, like as years later, it's easier to look back at this stuff and say this is what I was doing. But at the time, if you would have asked me, I probably would have cornered you and and downloaded like all this stuff that was, and you would be like, eventually you'd be like, okay, dude, see you later, because I was just like overrun. It was pouring out of me.
Yeah. I can empathize.
But at the same time, it was pouring into me because I was like at this period of my life where I'd studied speed reading when I was young, and I got into this special program. And I learned how to like pretty much read. I forget what it was. It was something crazy amount of words I could read per minute with a 90% comprehension.
Jesus.
And because they did this thing where like I would read. There was this weird machine. I get into this advanced reading course in school because somebody recognized that I could read a lot and fast.
Yeah.
And comprehend. And so I got into this advanced course in school. And basically, it was this weird little machine. This is before computers.
Yeah.
There's this weird little machine where they would feed paper into this machine, and there was an aperture that they would open, and then depending on what it had little dials on it, and they knew how many words per minute I could see at one time.
Okay.
Because they knew how many words per minute were laid out on the paper that they were feeding through it, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, if he sees like X amount of sentences in this aperture that we've opened. We know that, and it's scrolling past me at a certain speed. We know that he's reading X amount of words per minute.
Right.
They do a calculation. And then after I read this like 10 pages, 15 pages, whatever it was, then I would take a comprehension test. They would immediately like, now you're going to take a test on what you just read. And so I would, I scored out at like, it was something weird. It's been so long I don't remember, but it was a lot of words per minute, and I was like 90% comprehension.
Yeah.
So I took that into life with me, and when I was in college, I would just like tear through books.
Yeah, you're just actually devouring books.
Dude, I would just I would just go through books like I'm animal. And some days I would like read a whole book in a day and go to another book. Like I'd read a book a day for like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And so I was still in that mode.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I'm just like tearing through books, and like what I'm focusing on is like all these things that I think will relate to this general idea of what is this thing I want to construct.
Yeah.
That I'm calling the living book, for lack of a better terminology. I just didn't know. I knew like generally what I wanted it to be, but I didn't know specifically how I was going to get there.
Right.
So I was in the mode of devouring all the things that were going to help me get there.
Yeah.
Right. And so in the meantime, I'm living life. I'm going to parties, but luckily the parties I'm going to are populated by really, really, really smart people. So they don't feel cornered if I like sitting there at a party and I'm like, let me tell you this thing. And like I start downloading all the stuff I've been taking in and thinking.
Yeah.
And they very respectfully listen and give me feedback, or just say, oh, that's cool. Like more of that,
God, it's nice when that happens.
Yeah. Like, so I was in the right place at the right time with the right people. And so I had the outline of the incunabula,
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that, and we had started to do like the Talmudic process on it, where adding and deleting and things were being brought into it. And I was like, that was another thing I was working on. I was coming up with like more of this, less of that. Like, here's some books that we want to incorporate into this catalog. And I was like introducing, like I was showing Nick all the weird, because I had this bookshelf. Like I said, I was like, literally, I had a bookshelf that was just crammed with all this stuff that I was getting in the mail.
Yeah.
And it was paper still. I was like coming up with like, oh, I know something that would go here. I know something that would go here. So I was constantly doing that and like tying things in. I was playing around with the bulletin board systems. At this time, I had started to play around with the bulletin board systems because they had really started to emerge.
Yeah.
And I was playing around with like the idea of the living book. And at the time I was like, I wasn't limiting myself to the mediums that would be tied in. I was trying to come up with like, there has to be a central focus for this, what later would be called a dashboard, but that was not something that would have been in my lexicon at the time.
Right.
But I was thinking of like, there needs to be a central place where all of this can be controlled.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about gaming a lot. I was thinking about the contact between gaming and spirituality, and the fact that like I'd started to read this stuff about games actually evolved out of spiritual games.
Interesting.
And theater evolved out of spiritual games, and like all this stuff pointed back to gaming.
I mean, I can understand that. Like I find games to be incredibly important, and it's. And then I read Glass Bead Game by Hermann Hesse. I still have yet to read that. It's on the list.
Matishaludi, yeah. And then, well, the cool thing about that, let's talk about that for a minute, because it was like a big, heavy right turn for me.
Okay.
Is when I read that book, he described a game generally, but he never got down to the specifics of what are the rules of this game, exactly how does it work. But basically, it was a game that incorporated all kinds of universal thinking.
Okay.
It was like the universal game. And if you could master this game, you basically mastered – it was like mastering spirituality. It's like you became a guru by, like, mastering this game.
Okay.
Because it taught you all the things – like, it was Renaissance thinking. It was like mathematics, theater, like all the things that you would want in a game, all the things that you would have in a living book would be – like a part of this game. And it was like the central dashboard that I was looking for. And it was still just a concept because Hermann Hesse didn't do anything with it about developing a game per se, but he developed the concept of a game that would basically be what I was looking for. It's like, this is a concept, but can we really develop something like this?
Right.
And so I started to use as an example when I would describe it to somebody, I'd say it's like a Swiss Army knife. It's like, the Swiss Army knife is one thing that has many things within it.
Right.
It's the one object in my pocket that has how many things attached to it,
Right. Yeah.
A screwdriver, toothpick. It has everything.
And it's compressed into one accessible object from which you can unfold into whatever type of part you wish to have at that moment.
Right. And so I began to think conceptually, can I put something together that will function like that story can fit into on a framework. Yeah. I mean, that's a big ask.
Yeah. It's
a big ask.
It's fucking insane. It's
and I was just young enough and energetic enough to think I could get away with it. And probably crazy enough. Well, but like, why not try?
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and so like the puzzle you're trying to figure out is really from like a systems engineering perspective.
Yep.
Mostly like,
Yep. So I was thinking about all this and I'm saying, can a game be put together that actually would only conceptually be a game? Can it be done from the perspective of, the finite and infinite game concepts?
Yep.
Can I do something that can contain the kernels of an infinite game so that somebody could play it for the love of playing? It could be played ad infinitum.
Yep.
There is no beginning, no end, no winner, no loser. Anybody can walk on the field and off the field at any given time. Using that, I just used language from Homo Ludens.
Okay.
And that was another thing. It's like he pointed out in that book, gaming is much more than this casual, inconsequential thing as we know it now. When you say it's just a game, it's like you're writing it off these days. But it hasn't always been that way. It's like gaming used to be how we learned things and how we did things, and like it meant something.
Yeah,
It was a way of transferring information.
Yeah.
And so I started to think, like, can we get back to that? And what does it look like to build something that you could put into the world and say, here's this Rubik's Cube, and if you turn it this way and this way, it does this. And if you turn it this way and that way, it does that.
Yeah.
It's like, basically, it's this conceptual thing, much like McKenna, who was way into Chardin, used to say, the transcendental object at the end of time.
Yeah.
We're all being drawn to the transcendental object at the end of time. Can I create a transcendental game?
Yeah. No, like you're talking about building a structure of like pure information, like a machine that exists in information space or the imaginal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I was talking about building a framework.
Yeah.
Which, eventually I came up with a name. But like that, so yeah, and I was looking at like, all these things that I was running across. Like, of course, I looked at people that were LARPing, which I thought was interesting. But because of the subject matter of LARPing, it didn't do that much for me.
For sure.
But the concept of LARPing and the structure of LARPing, that did something for me. And I noticed with all this LARPing, there was booklets. I started going to the game shop and look at the booklets, and there was like these rule books, and these rule books basically allowed you to write your own LARP. If you follow the formula, right? And I said, okay, so I can come up with a formula that literally anybody could do their own game. And so I'm going to take this idea of like all these things that I'm into, conspiracy theory, psychedelia, fringe science, all these things, and like hang them on a framework. But somebody could very easily, if I do this right, could come along and do another one of their own.
Right.
I mean, not use mine, but like, come on, like, here's the framework, and say, I can hang my own ideas or somebody else's ideas on this framework.
Yeah.
So can I do that? As nebulous and as vague as that sounds, that was my starting place.
Yeah. No, it probably does sound nebulous and vague, but I understand exactly what you're saying. Like, yeah. So I was basically looking for, can a framework be constructed that things can be hung on, and as a proof of concept, can I build something on that framework that will work? Yeah. Because you have to prove your concept. Right. Yeah, it's just fascinating because I don't know. I've been thinking about structures and machines within information space like a lot in the last like year or so. Like how, basically, like, can you build a machine in information space, like a structure of information that outputs something, on its own? Like, of course you can, because computers exist and shit. But still, those require, the physical silicon and shit. Like, can something exist purely in information space that is like persistent and generative? And that's a crazy guy thought, but it's an interesting one.
Well, it's the thought that got me started.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking of things like the noosphere.
Yeah.
And like, can I put this thing together, some sort of machine, for lack of a better word?
Yeah.
Can I put some sort of machine together that you could input certain information into, and then you would be able to output certain effects on the other end?
Yeah.
The way that I got there in my mind was I started thinking about like the third mind experiments that Brian Geisen and William S. Burroughs did.
Yeah.
I started thinking about like all these things that we've just been talking about, and a whole lot more. I just don't want to like sit here and try to unpack all the things that were
for sure, yeah,
that were packed into this conceptually. But it was literally everything that I was taking in at the time, which was a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was just like constantly consuming information day and night. And so like I would just like take it in, absorb it, process it, and then out of and then output something from that and say, I can use this part, and this part.
Yeah.
And it fits here, here, and here. So I was literally like downloading this weird information to build this weird concept machine.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to put it. It's a concept machine.
Yeah.
It's a conceptual machine to work with concepts.
Yeah. Or an engine.
Yeah. I was just thinking about all of this, and it started to gel. Finally, it started like, at first it was just like a bunch of muck, and it was like all this information, and I just couldn't, I was taking in all this information, and then I had to process it, And then as I processed it, I started to like, okay, this and this actually fuses together to one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then out of that comes a third thing, and then that's the third thing. So I put it up, and I just kept like moving stuff around until I finally had an idea that I could think clearly enough about it that I could think about how I'm going to get there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, okay, I need to construct something, but at least I know what it's going to look like.
You have to clear away the bullshit to find like the thread that you're going to follow, but you have to have like enough faith that there is a thread there eventually to push through the bullshit.
Yeah, and I was reading a lot of academic stuff about information books.
Yeah, yeah.
Umberto Eco, who's like everybody knows him as a novelist, but he's actually a brilliant academician. I can spit it out. He had ideas about the future of the book. In fact, he wrote a book called The Future of the Book.
Oh, interesting.
And I started reading that, and I said, okay, this makes sense. And then I started thinking about like, okay, so at the time, there were no such things as ebooks.
Right.
You couldn't get a book in text form. There was a new project that had just started on the internet, pre-web, and it was started at the University of Michigan. It was called the eBook Archive, or the eText Archive. I'm sorry. There was no term such as the ebook yet, but it was coming. The eText Archive, and so they were collecting things that eventually they became Project Gutenberg. I think that they changed the name of the project, but they were collecting. And again, this sounds antiquated now, but at the time, the idea of people that were converting print books into digital text was a novel idea.
Yeah.
Because there was no digital text. Like if you had it, you usually created it, or then finally there was a formal project at a university that said, we're going to try to collect all the things that are in the public domain and get them into digital.
And it still wasn't like any OCR or anything at the time.
There was no, it didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So this stuff was all being typed by hand, usually by people that just, did it for the love of it.
Sure.
And so I looked at that and I said, okay, I'd started to play with relational databases. And in order for this to be useful, I need to get a lot of this stuff in usable digital text.
Yeah, yeah.
Into these databases. But I got to get it into the text format first.
Right, right.
And so now I can see people are doing that. I began doing it. I started putting things into text, typing by hand.
Yep.
If I needed something, I would just like literally sit down one night and type it into the computer. It's like, okay, I wanted that book in the database. Now I got that book in the database. And so I started building up this repository of digital text.
Yeah.
And storing it into a relational database.
Yeah, yeah.
And in a relational database, you could do things like make things relational down to like all kinds of levels of granularity, where you can say this book relates to this book thematically by the same author, etc., in the same language, written around the same time period, etc.
And these are all just based on like tagging snippets. Okay.
So and then you can go another level and you can say, this page in this book relates to the other pages in these books. And you can say, this sentence in this book relates to these things. It relates to these other authors who have used it in their book.
Okay.
It relates to these other authors who cited it as reference, who cited it as inspiration.
Right, right.
There's no end of how you can relate things together.
Right, right.
So you're literally doing the whole trick where you're like, doing the Post-it notes with pins and red thread.
Yeah. Just much bigger scale.
On a bigger scale, and more importantly, you're making it more immediate.
Right.
So I can go in and I can do a search string query, and I can say, give me all the books that ...
Right.
Give me all the sentences in this book. Give me all the sentences in this set of books. Give me all the sentences in all the books that I have in my database that say this, or say something like this, or, reference this. I mean, they're literally like, now you're only limited by your imagination.
And so were you like manually adding these relationships to like every...
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like over fucking whelming, dude.
Yeah.
But I did it.
You did it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I would just sit up all night and just tag stuff. Just like once I got it in, then I would like run through do a first run and do like the high level tags, like, you know, the obvious stuff, author, title, you know, category.
Yeah.
And then I'd go back through and say, okay, now what am I gonna relate this to? And you just keep going through the same book sometimes. Like you might pass through the same book like over the course of a year or two, like 6 or 7 times, because as you're putting a new book in, you're like, oh, I better mark that down to be like make it relational to this over here. Like your brain becomes saturated with everything you're putting into the database. So in a way, the database becomes a part of you and you become a part of the database.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And in doing that, in becoming that immersed in it, I started to think about the concept of a book. And I'm like, what is a book? A book is really a unit of measure, right? It's a conceptual circle I draw around a group of words.
Yeah.
And say, this is a book and this is what it's titled, and here's all the things that it is. It's like, you know, it goes into the new Romantic period. It was written in the 17th century, the 16th century, you know. It was written by this author.
Right.
It has these subjects.
When I hear you say that, my initial reaction is like, well, no, a book is a story, but like, no, it's not, because I have a bunch of books sitting right next to me that have multiple stories or aren't about stories or just a collection of fucking Guinness World Records or, you know, whatever the fuck.
And so if I got a bunch of them in a database, I literally can do a query string that says, give me all the paragraphs from all the books in this database and spit them out into one unit book.
Right.
And so I can actually literally output a reference book from a database with a string.
Yeah.
And now I've created a new book.
Fucking insane.
And so really, what does that mean? Book, it means unit of measure.
Yeah, unit of measure according to these parameters.
Yeah, unit of measure for this time period around, you know, like these parameters.
Yeah. I've been not doing it manually, but using various LLMs to try and like build a database of like all the religious texts from all major world religions I can find, and then like, yeah, I'm using an LLM to generate tags for it, just based on like saying like what I'm trying to do, and then it'll, you know, give me like go through and automatically generate the list of tags. And my thought was, and I've been working on this for like probably off and on for like a year now, build a database of religious texts that is easily understood and searchable by an LLM to try and, I don't know, make a profit GPT or something. I don't know what I'm doing with it, but yeah. So I get, yeah.
It's good that you don't know what you're doing with it yet.
Yeah, I know.
But see, so this is where I'm about to get a little woo.
Yeah.
Which is, I already told you about, I had these ideas about like, there are these books that exist outside of time and space.
Yes.
As concepts.
Yeah.
And if you have experienced what I've experienced, and many other artists have experienced, art is something that you receive.
Yep.
And in fact, some of the newer theories on consciousness, speaking of consciousness as we were earlier, is that consciousness is received.
That makes sense to me.
From another place.
Yeah.
And so I had this romantic idea that there's these concepts out there that when we download them into this time and place, we put them into a unit of measure called book.
Yeah.
And we say, here's this information that I received. I mean, whether you acknowledge it or not, that's usually what happens.
Yep.
And it's called the book, and the book is so I can put a title on it. And so like it could be a thing that we can point to so we can say we know what we're talking about.
Right.
It's that thing we do with language. It's like mostly used for navigating 3D space.
Yeah.
Yeah. This thing's over there, and don't try not to trip over it. So I started to think like, okay, so literally, if I can look at this vast pool of text, this data pool that I now have built, because I started like downloading stuff from the Gutenberg library and putting it in there, and I was just building this giant database repository of all these books. And now I can like do a conjuration, basically. I can invoke.
Yeah.
I can say, give me the book about this. And from all this pool of data, it assembles that book and it gives it to me. Literally, it's doing what I wanted this thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to invoke a book.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what can I do now? I can start thinking about cut up somewhere in that string, like go find something about this, run it through the cut up machine,
right,
which I didn't have yet, and give it to me in a new form. And now I will have something really metaphysical.
Yeah.
Or just gobbledygook.
Yeah, or nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, or nonsense. But like every once in a while, I'm going to get a gem like Nick did with the Metaphase typewriter.
Yeah.
So can I come up with something that can do it faster than they were doing it? Because like they were doing it pretty old school. If I've got a database and I'm hitting it with these strings and invoking, I can be getting back nuggets and put that together into a book. Like everything I see that's usable, I just like take that out, put it in. It's like gold mining. Like you go through like tons of rock or tons of soil to find one nugget, and you keep that nugget.
Yeah.
So like, now I've got this thing where I can just like fire hose it and keep coming back with nuggets, and I can do it in a relatively reasonable time. Instead of like, if I did this with the Metaphase typewriter, it could take me fucking years.
Right. Now you can strip mine it.
I can strip mine this motherfucker and do it like in weeks.
Yeah.
And so as far as I'm concerned, bam, this is what I was looking for. I didn't know it. I didn't realize it till I bumbled my way into this situation.
Yeah.
But now here I was, and I'm looking at this. I'm going, this is exactly what I set out looking for, and didn't realize I was going to get to it this way.
Yeah.
But I got to it. It's like I wanted to draw books from the ether. Right. And that's what I'm doing. I'm able to do that now.
Yeah. It's often like people don't necessarily feel that like using a computer or a database is drawing things from the ether, but it is. Like,
and by introducing the cut up method,
right,
I was really doing it.
Right. So you're getting non-human input from it.
Yeah, I was adding chaos to the mix.
Right, exactly.
Which is always the recipe. Like if you want magic, add chaos.
Yeah.
So like I need to add chaos to the mix, and so I'm going to add chaos to the mix. So if introducing the cut up method, as Burroughs said, when you cut into the present, the future leaks out.
Right.
Like what's going to happen? Well, I didn't know, but I did know that I stumbled upon the thing I was looking for without knowing that's what I was doing.
Right.
So I basically was playing with all this stuff because like, okay, well, there's databases I can play with. Maybe it's like I did not sit down and go, okay, I wanted to do this thing where I wanted to get books of the ether, and this is how I'm going to go about it.
Right.
I was just like throwing spaghetti against the wall, and all of a sudden, like I went, wait, that's it. That was it. That's it right there.
It's it again. You got out of your own way, and you allowed like your subconscious to just like follow the
totally subconscious,
find its way through.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I was like standing at the precipice of what I was looking for without realizing that's where I was going. I thought I was just like, I'm going to put all these books into this database and play around with that and see what happens. And it's like just kind of because I can do it.
Right.
And because nobody else was doing it. So I was like reading all this theory about, well, if somebody was to do something like this, if, like even people like Umberto Eco is like, if. And I'm like, well, somebody fucking do something already.
Yeah.
Like it's all right here. And then I realized like, well, yeah, it's all right here, right this moment.
Right.
So like it didn't exist when Eco was writing that book. It didn't exist for any of these people. We knew it was going to exist, but like we had not reached a critical mass point, except that I was right there as critical mass was coming online.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to jump on this right now. And without thinking about this is going to lead me to the books of the ether.
Right.
I'm like, I just need to like get a bunch of books into a database and figure out what I can do with that. And by doing that, I came up with the answer to the question, how do I get books out of an ether?
Yeah.
So boom, there I was.
There you were.
And like and I had like what Crowley called the aha moment, where like you hear the angels singing and all, you see the sparks in front of your eyes. You're like, whoa, wait, cool.
Yeah.
So there I was. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? I found the path.
Yeah.
I still don't know where it's going to lead exactly, but I definitely know the direction I'm going, which is it's going to be electronic.
Yeah.
Because all this stuff is the next generation of what Nick Herbert was doing, which is the next generation of what Burroughs and Geisel were doing.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't realize that that's what I was constructing, but I constructed it.
Yeah. It had to evolve somehow, and you just happened to be the person that was there at the right time to catch it.
Yeah, so I was watching this stuff evolve and come online, and because I was in the position of being around the right kind of people and being in the right position, both where I worked, what I was doing for a living, where I was living geographically. I was like over the hill from Stanford. I was over the hill from Apple, like all the Silicon Valley thing. I was like in the same town as University of California, Santa Cruz, like all the places that were like the cutting edge of the computer technology that was coming online, that was literally going to change all our lives.
Right.
But we didn't really know that per se. We suspected it, but like, you can suspect a lot of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've suspected a lot of things that have turned out to be complete bullshit, but...
Exactly, yeah. But like, I was just like there at the time where like all the right people were doing the things that nobody else was hearing about, because they were doing it in labs, in universities, and 20 people knew they were doing it.
Right.
But I happened to know the right people that would introduce me to those 20 people. I knew Ralph Abraham. I knew Nick Herbert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could make the introductions for me and say, oh, I know somebody that's doing that. And then, boom, I'm talking to the person, the one or two people in the world that are doing that thing that I thought was like a far-out idea. Wouldn't it be cool if? And then turns out there's somebody doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm introduced to those people, and then I can pick up on their ideas. I can learn from their methodology. I can share with them my ideas. And boom, I'm in the right place at the right time. Again. Or I guess still, because I'm still in that groove.
Yeah. Well, it seems you also have a fucking hell of a work ethic too, which definitely counts for making. I feel like a lot of us a lot of people tend to be in the right place at the right time, but don't know how to capitalize it, or don't have the energy to capitalize on it when it's time.
Yeah, and I'm naturally a hyper person.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people that have like suspected that I am a person that uses stimulants, and I don't.
Yeah.
Because to quote Bobcat Goldthwait, yeah, I'm the guy you want wired in your apartment.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm not the guy you want wired in your apartment. It's like, I can't even really drink a lot of coffee anymore. It's like, I just like stimulants and I do not go together because I'm already jacked so high.
Yeah, you're already the guy that'll type whole books into a database.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sit up all night and just like chew your ear off about something, and you'll be like, Jesus Christ. Does this guy ever let up? So yeah, I was looking for something. I got out of my own way. I found the thing without looking for it. Once again, that seems to be the theme of this story.
Yeah.
I found the thing I was looking for. I realized I found the thing I was looking for. So much like Parsifal.
Yep.
He had that moment like further down the road, like, oh, the Grail, shit, I saw it already.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
I saw it at the very beginning of So I had that moment, but I wouldn't have got there without the work. You have to do the work, and then you get there. So I had the moment, and I realized, like, here we go. Like, we're on to something. At least I've got a compass that's pointing in a direction.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the road I'm supposed to turn on just yet, but I'm going in a direction, and I was going in that direction. I finally had the feeling that I was on to something that could get me where I wanted to go.
For sure. That's a good place to be. That's further than you were.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, when you were building this like relational database, like what sort of like overall organizational philosophy did you have, if you had one, like when you were writing all these tags and shit? Like, was there a specific hierarchy or another type of system? Like, essentially, like, did you make your own like Liber 777 or whatever? Like,
I did in a way. Yeah. I was, in the very beginning, I was getting anything I wanted to have from an informational standpoint. I want the information in the database. I was putting that in by hand. The stuff I was getting from the eText archive was pretty much classics.
Yep.
So I was just, like, okay, it's available. I put it in there. And I was consumed at the time with Renaissance thinking, so it fit fine with what I was doing.
Yeah.
And as I got more adept at putting this stuff into the database, because after a while you get a routine, you can do it quicker. It's never quick, but you can be quicker than you could in the beginning. your muscle memory gets down, you can do like, tag, tap, 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 tap. Like
yep.
you can get it down pretty good. Data entry, and once you get it down and you start tagging all this stuff, I started to think about like, well, what do I want this brain to be? What do I want it to like? How do I want it to lean? And I'd already started thinking about like whatever I do first, the proof of concept is going to have to do with the incunabula.
Right.
That's going to be part of it.
Okay.
And so originally I thought about like, can I have it generate fake books?
Yeah, because let's define like what the term incunabula actually means. Well,
basically it means books. Well, these days it just means old books.
Right.
But I think it has a technical definition of books written before a certain time. I think it might have been late 1600s.
Yeah, the first like commercial or not commercial, but like text pieces printed. Before, yeah.
And nowadays, when you say incunabula, you basically mean antiquarian books.
Yeah.
So if you go into a bookshop and say that, like, it's not going to be like just constricted to a certain time period. You're going to be like anything old.
Yeah.
Really old, Basically, there's a technical definition of incunabula, which incunabula doesn't even stick to anymore.
Right. Gotcha.
And if you look at the book catalog that we're talking about, it definitely doesn't.
Right.
So basically, the book catalog came to be known as a book catalog that you sent away. Well, again, this is all fictional. You sent away to a P.O. box, $2, and like a self-addressed stamped envelope, and you would get back this catalog. And the catalog talked about all this stuff that, like, some of it was real and very fringe.
Yep.
Some of it was off my shelf, very fringe.
Yep.
Some of it was made up and very fringe. And so it was basically, in true definition, what it really was is it was a book catalog that was put together Borgesian style.
Yep.
About all this stuff that you could get through mail order. So it was a mail art piece. It was a mail art piece about mail art.
Yeah. And how much of the later plot was already there? Like the egg, the just the plot beats that are associated with what came to be known as Ong's hat. How much of that was already in?
That was being put together.
Cool.
So it was being constructed. Peter and James Kenline, the collage artist, were playing around with stuff. I was playing around with stuff. Nick was peripherally contributing, but just like not as immersed in it maybe as we were.
Yeah.
And so like it was almost my full-time job. It was kind of weird, but it kind of took over my life. And I was just like every day I would just like sit down and be like, what about this? Or I'd go pull something off the shelf and I'd be like, this would fit right in.
Yeah.
So it was like this thing was being constructed on the fly. Ideas, like I was starting to bounce ideas off of like the database, like give me all the information about this kind of thing and bind it together in a document for me. And I was like trying to pull things together, like what would this look like if there was like a book about these 5 things?
Yeah.
And that would give me an idea of like, coming up with something that didn't really exist, but something that I wish existed. So it was really when I started to like sketch it out, I had this concept of this thing, which was the next generation of what I was doing, which like by no stretch of the imagination was what I was doing sophisticated because everything was manual,
Yeah.
And so I hadn't glued it together with any programmatic languages for sure.
Yep.
The things that would be tied into it later basically were under development around the world, but like didn't have access to it yet. I had people tell me that these things were in development and I would be able to get them soon. Great. So I kind of like, okay, I will get them soon. And then I started to come up with this concept of, well, what would it look like conceptually for something where I input and then it outputs? What would be in between? And that's when I came up with the idea for the name, the Meta Machine, because it's literally a machine, but it's not really a machine. It's a meta machine.
Yeah.
It would deal with meta concepts.
Yeah.
And it would never actually exist as a physical machine. It would only be something eventually it would be a bunch of software modules that would be tied together through language.
Yeah, but it was a system rather than a program or a one console or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fascinating.
So can I come up with like again, this wasn't in the lexicon, but like, can I come up with a dashboard to control all this?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the meta machine was like, okay, what would it look like? What would the guts of this thing look like? And then what would a control system for the guts of this thing look like? And so I started sketching it out on paper a lot.
What did you end up using like for the first iteration of like a way to do the cut ups, like a way to inject chaos into the system?
The very first ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would use, I would do cut-ups. I would print it out on paper and I would cut it up with scissors.
Okay, yeah.
And put it into a hat.
That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't suspect that. But
Yep, that was one iteration. Another iteration was some sort of dice.
Okay.
So I would mark paragraphs or sentences or words with numbers.
Yeah.
And then I would roll the dice, and put like, okay, this is the number 5. Take the number 5, put it over there. This is the number 11. Okay, put the number 11 over there. And just like sort it out like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would use playing cards or tarot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would use flipping coins. Sometimes I would use I Ching, the hexagrams.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would just like anything I could come up with. I would inject another form of chaos into it.
And because it is a meta machine, like you're just kind of brute force putting chaos into it.
Yes.
By any means. Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't have the way to do it technically yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume I would have that methodology available to me, but like it just wasn't available yet.
Right.
You still had to brute force it. So, like I'm sure I knew this guy up in UCSC who told me like, well, I've got what did he say? A neuro, he has something going on. He told me theoretically that he could do something, but he never did. So I was just stuck with brute forcing it because I didn't have access to the type of computing just yet.
Yeah.
I literally would very, very soon. But at the time, it just like, it was very esoteric.
Yeah.
Like only certain people on the planet had access to that kind of machinery, and literally universities that had that kind of machinery available to them considered time on the machine equal to money.
Right.
It's like, well, you can't be using an hour of our computing time. They actually talk to you like that.
Yeah.
And I understand because they laid out like $1 million.
Yeah.
Or more, and it took like a fleet of people to keep this equipment running. So yeah, they're not going to let somebody like me in there. Like, I'm going to do some cut-ups, okay?
let me tell you about a living book.
Yeah, let me tell you about a living book. Yeah, they'll be like, yeah, see him out, show him the door. Yeah, so a couple of people told me they could do something for me, but of course they were too busy and they probably couldn't get the time on the machinery that they thought they could. So
yeah,
like but I like my ears perked up and I was like, well, one day I will have access to that equipment, and I did, but I just didn't at this point. So I was doing the best I could do.
Yeah. I mean, you were doing quite a lot, realistically.
Which even at the time was more than most people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But there was there was this rarefied atmosphere of the priests of the computing at the top.
Right.
They could have done a little bit more for me, but I was not going to get their time. Because the other thing was you try to talk to those people about what I'm doing here, and they're the types of people, the engineering minds, that are like, oh, too vague.
Right. Like too spooky for the academics, too academic for the spooky people.
Yeah, exactly.
Story of my fucking life.
You couldn't convince them fuzzy logic wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
So you couldn't convince them this is all fuzzy because they want it to be cut and dry, black and white, 0 and 1.
Right.
And you're like, well, this is not that. This is in between that. This is stepping between the 0 and 1. And as soon as you said that, they showed you the door. Or they'd laugh at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when did it start getting spooky on you?
Well, I mean, the cut up stuff was always spooky.
Yeah.
Like, you would get these bizarre, responses back from whatever it was.
Yeah.
I started integrating ritual magic into it as well.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I would clear the space, and then I would invoke the space, and then I would do the work.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that I would get better or weirder. Weirder was better for me.
Yeah.
If we think about things in today's language, the things that most people are looking at as bugs in a AI system, I was looking at as features.
Right.
So they were getting, if they get hallucinations, they're unhappy. I was looking for hallucinations.
Yeah, because those are the thought-provoking things.
Yeah. It tells me that there's some creativity going on there.
Yeah.
So I was looking for that kind of stuff. I was looking for the weird, the outrageous, the offbeat. And so that's what I was looking for. And so and there was no lack of that. It was like later it got weirder and spookier, but like at least at this point, I was getting some interesting responses that seemed to be, if I asked a question, I would get an interesting response. Yeah. And it seemed to be directly in response to what I asked.
So just like a good session with any like divinatory mechanism or system.
Yeah, or just like when the Nick and company were looking for
right.
Houdini.
Yeah.
When are you gonna talk to us, Harry? In an infinite time. Yeah, fuck off, you too. But that's the kind of shit I started to get back to, like all this smart ass stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Which I recognized from my days working with a Nokian, because you got a lot of smart ass responses out of the angels or whatever they were.
Yeah.
I say angels because that's what Dee called them, but like I don't consider them angels. I consider them discarnate intelligence.
Sure.
And so I would get these smart ass responses, and so I'm like, oh yeah, okay, like we're onto something because like they're being smart asses.
Yeah.
You know they're around, whatever they are.
Such a funny quality for them to have.
Well, I mean, dude, if you look at it, if you take like the valet view,
sure,
and you say this is the Fae,
sure, yeah,
and whatever preceded the Fae, and if you look at the history of the Fae,
they're smart asses.
Nothing but smart asses. Nothing
true.
But.
It's true.
So this is a quality that if you hit it, you like, okay, I've made contact.
Yeah.
I know I'm with whatever that is.
Yeah.
Because it's the Fae, it's the Virgin Mary, it's a fucking UFO occupant, it's Bigfoot, it's like all that stuff. It's like it's the same thing wearing a different mask.
Yeah.
But it's got a quality that it always carries across any facade that it's wearing, and that is being a fucking smartass.
Yeah.
And it's funny if long as you if you don't take yourself and it too seriously,
right,
then you don't get angry like, well, I asked you a question. It's like you kind of got an answer though. It's like, for example, I remember like one Nokia session that I did like half the day, like opening the watchtowers, and like I did the whole thing like the way you're supposed to do it. And I finally got the channel going. I had a good scryer. I know she was actually like somebody who like could tune into things.
Sure.
And she didn't know anything about Enochian, so she carried no baggage. And so, I started asking the questions like, okay, are you objective or subjective? Yes.
Right.
And those kind of answers. What are you? Are you an angel? I'm that, but I'm much more than that. I'm not that at all. Like those kind of answers.
Yeah.
I'm that, but I'm not that at all. Like those kind of things. And I began to realize like later, as I kept doing these kind of things, and I kept getting those kind of answers, that was recognition at least that I had tapped into the channel.
Right.
I tuned in. Like if somebody who didn't know that that's what they should be doing was doing that, giving you back that information, like they're like, I don't know, it's being very smart ass. I'm like, okay, we got them. They're on the line. Right. Let's talk to them. Let's see what we can get. Because every once in a while, you keep fire hosing this and you get that gold nugget. One gold nugget. But you're gonna get an awful lot of bullshit in between.
It's wild. Like this was a 50-50 fusion of magic and technology or information science, like, which you could argue that they are the same thing, but like, it's wild that that's just what you were doing from the outset. And also the idea that, you could use computers to, an information technology to make a more effective scrying method, I guess, or a more sophisticated scrying method or communication method with the other side. Like that's fucking wild.
Well, I was trying to dial in the scrying methodology because, like, basically, as I'd come to understand it, scrying was 50% of what the information that was coming through.
Yep.
And 50% of who it was coming through. So the scryer.
Yeah.
Definitely
or the
is going to put. I was trying to get the scryer out of the mix.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to do.
Gotcha.
I'm like, can I get the human that stands between me and the thing I'm trying to talk to out of the mix? Because I did understand that, like, that's going through a human consciousness.
Yep.
And some of what I'm hearing is being filtered to that person. I'm not saying a bad thing about them. I'm not saying it's their fault.
Of course.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But then I started to think, like, well, if I want a more direct connection to whatever this is, how can I get that person in the middle out of the way? Because, like, as somebody who did Enochian and ritual magic, you have to do, like, you have the magician who does all the opening, and then you have the scryer who's basically the mouthpiece for what's coming through. And so it's, like, I at best it's 50%.
Yeah.
Of what's coming through filtered to that person. So you've got all their memories, you've got their experiences, you've got their DNA, you've got all of that in the middle between you and the conversation you're trying to have with this entity. And I'm not trying to be inhuman about it. I'm like, but could I be the human part of the contact? Because I feel the humanity is important.
Right.
It grounds it to this world, and it brings it into the human experience, and it connects it to the human collective unconscious.
Right.
I think that's necessary for this communication to happen. But can I get the scryer out of the way?
Yeah.
And so that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's what I described what I was doing to Bill Burroughs, because I got his phone number and I had phone conversations about them. I told him what I was doing, and I said, I'm trying to do what you and Brian were doing, but, like, I'm trying to do kind of 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm trying to add this tech angle to it that I think can help get some of the human element out of it. So it's just me and whatever it is I'm trying to talk to can have a closer relationship and a more direct connection for a conversation. And he agreed with me. He's like, he said, I don't know everything about what you're doing technically.
Yeah.
Because I was, like, kind of geek speaking a little bit. And he was like, none of that means anything to me. So, like, just kind of conceptually tell me what you're trying to do. And I told him, like, I'm trying to get the middle person out of the way to have a more direct connection to this we call the third mind. Like, can it be just me and it?
Yeah.
To have this connection. And he said, theoretically, yes, you could do that. Good luck. Don't know what the fuck you're doing, but good luck, kid. And so I felt like, at the very least, I could get closer to having this connection to an intelligence. By doing so, I could get closer to having, or proving or disproving in my mind, is there such a thing as a unit of measure called a book on the other side that I can access?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And can I have a conversation with these discarnate entities? And can I maybe ask them to get the book for me? It's like, well, you're over there. Can you get that book and hand it over here?
Hey, you got any recommendations?
Any recommendations? Yeah. Like, they kind of went together in my mind.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, big deal. Then I'm killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah. But,
yeah. So I was after information from another realm. That's what I was after.
Yeah.
And I couldn't very well just out and out say that to some of the people in the computer science labs at the universities.
Right.
Because they wouldn't talk to me. They'd probably, like, call security and put my name on a list.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, but luckily there was enough people I could talk to on that level, like Nick Herbert, Ralph Abraham was another one.
Yep.
The father of chaos mathematics was also, a lot of people don't know this, very, very, very interested in D and the angels.
Yeah, I heard an interview with him a couple years ago about that.
Yeah.
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 That was my first, the first glimpse into the idea. They're like, oh, wow, okay, these guys are taking this here. Okay, maybe there's something there.
Yeah. So you see that, like, this is the environment I'm existing in, is around people like this.
Yeah.
So, of course, this kind of thinking is being encouraged.
Yeah.
But it's also being encouraged only so far by certain types of people. And as you may or may not have learned, I've learned this again and again. I can't talk about this. I still can't talk about this to certain people.
Right.
Because they think I'm nuts.
Right.
People in the entertainment arena, I found, you can't talk to about this.
No, they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think you're doing a bit, or you're putting them on, or that you're crazy.
Yeah.
They just like want to write it off as soon as they can.
And it's tough because if you start using more like precise language and shit, you do like risk, missing the target because it doesn't exist in a realm of precise language.
Well, that's the other thing is I don't want to over explain and unpack too much because I will kill it for myself.
Right.
I don't care about these other people that don't understand it. They don't understand it. So, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to kill it for myself. There has to be some mystery left to it. I have to have large parts of it where I can say, I understand if I do A, B will happen. I don't understand why, and I don't need to know why.
Right.
That's the most. It's a weird analogy, but you probably will get this. The moment that I knew that I had grown up was the moment that I knew that I didn't need to understand women.
Yeah, I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
The day that I said to myself, women are a mystery to me, and that's okay. That's what makes them appealing. So I'm not going to kill the mystery and the appeal by trying to understand them because A, I'm never going to understand them.
Right.
And B, if I did somehow pull that off, I would kill the mystery, and then they wouldn't be appealing to me anymore because one of the things that appeals to me about women is they're so fucking mysterious to me.
Yeah.
That's why I love them.
Yeah. Well,
so boom.
I tend to think that it might be acausal. Like the actual part, it might just be fucking acausal. And in that case, like, you're not going to use reason to get through it. Like you fucking can't, You
just have to accept it.
Yeah. It's, the goblin universe or possibility space or fucking whatever. It's the acausal side of reality. And that just means it's a fucking mystery. It's by definition.
And it's going to have to remain one because to you is the fact that it is a mystery. And, I had like some time in my late 20s, I figured that out.
Yeah.
Because before that, as most young men do, I was trying to figure women out.
Yeah.
It's like these motherfuckers are just frustrating me, confusing me. I don't get it. If I only understood. No, wrong.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that they are mysterious is why you're attracted to them, moron.
Yeah.
And so just get down with that.
Yeah, let it be numinous. Let it be the thing.
Just let it be. Just let it be. Yeah. Not to sound like Paul McCartney, but let it be.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's the exact same thing. Because love is magic and everything's everything.
Yeah. Everything's
and
everything.
And then when I realized, okay, I don't need to know all of this stuff, and in fact, by knowing it, if it's possible to know it, or at least if I could convince myself that I know it, was more likely.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to kill the magic, and why would I want to do that?
Yeah. You're going to be necessarily aiming at the wrong thing if you're aiming from a point of thinking you understand it.
Or if you're even aiming at all.
Yeah.
Because you have to, in order to aim, you have to think you see a target or you know where it is.
Yeah.
Like I said, most likely you're not gonna solve anything, but you're going to convince yourself that you solved something.
Yeah.
And if you ever met somebody like that who thinks they know something when they clearly do not.
Oh yeah.
They are the most annoying motherfuckers on the planet. So you don't want to be that person.
I mean, honestly, the mark of maturity is getting more comfortable with saying I don't know.
Exactly.
In every fucking domain.
Yeah. And the mark of stupidity is saying I know.
Yeah.
So this is what I had to do with what we're talking about here is I'm moving toward, well, again, to use a McKennaism or to use a Chardin, I'm moving towards a transcendental object at the end of time. Drawn toward. In fact, I'm being drawn towards a transcendental object at the end of time, because
you're not aiming towards it, you're being drawn toward it.
And that's how he described it. It's like we're all being drawn towards the transcendental object at the end of time. I had my transcendental object at the end of time, my Moby Dick. Which was, if you would have asked me what I'm doing, I could have got general and said, I'm looking for a way to extract information from the ether. Period.
Yeah.
How can I do that? I'm going to construct this framework that allows it to happen, and I'm going to use this idea that came from the mail art world as a proof of concept to hang on that framework to see if it actually can do it.
Yeah.
So can we construct things that induce synchronicity?
Yeah.
Yes, I know that's possible because I do it all the time. It's my writing method.
Yeah.
If you ask me exactly, can I define my writing method? No. Why? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to, because I'll kill it.
Yeah. Fucking A.
But I can generally tell you, like, go down to that stream, find the log, walk across the stream on the log.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's the way you will end up being able to do it is by finding your own fucking connection to the river of all that is. And
that's really what it's about. Is you have to draw your own map. You have to find your own way. And so I can tell you generally how I got there, which is what the purpose of this book is that we're doing.
Yeah.
Is like, this is how I got there. And I can tell you generally what I was after. It doesn't mean that I got exactly where I thought I was going, because I didn't. And I don't think that I had all the results that I thought I was going to get, but I had a lot that I didn't know I was going to get.
Yeah.
So it was, 50% of what I thought I was after, I found. And another 50% I didn't even know I was looking for.
Yeah.
I found.
Yeah.
Or found me. Because, again, I'm being drawn to the transcendental object at the end of time. I'm not really going towards it.
And, like, me listening to you tell the story, like, I wouldn't be able to then follow your method of how you did this one-to-one and get anywhere. You know what I mean?
Well, you wouldn't. For one thing, you wouldn't have to, because like there's a whole new set of tools available to you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, in terms of finding my own entry into the slipstream, which I like at this point, like I know exactly what it feels like to like fucking receive a piece of art or something, like to tap into that. But like I had to get there through my own method, my own fucking following my own transcendental object, and like so.
Well, and that's all you should do. Exactly. It's like you should be drawn to your own object.
The value of hearing like these stories of processes and shit is to understand like how someone describes what it felt like to be drawn into a magical process, rather than ever thinking of it as like a cookbook, Do
not use it as a cookbook, but use it as inspiration to write your own cookbook.
Exactly.
I tell people that all the time. I get a lot of young artists for some reason that congregate around me and write to me and things like that.
Yeah.
And they're all looking for something. And I tell them, keep looking for something. That's like, they're like, well, what's the trick? And I'm like, the trick is to keep looking for the something and don't settle for what somebody else's something is, because it's not going to be your thing.
Yeah.
I can't write like Kerouac because I'm not Kerouac.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to write like Kerouac. I can't write like Henry Miller. I can't write like William S. Burroughs. I can be influenced by them. I can be definitely inspired by them because they found their own voice. But I have to find my own voice.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
That's why it's called the great work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there's really nothing else to do but that at the end of the day. No matter what you're doing that on some level, or you're not doing that, which is like still doing something, like you're actively not doing the great work.
Right.
Which is like it's like you're not doing anything. No, you're not doing the great work, which is doing something. Said not doing a very good thing, but like you're doing everything but what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Which is working on the great work. You're avoiding it. That's work. That's work.
It is work. Now, so like at the same time though, while while you were doing all this, like you guys were, having like discussions and stuff, and you were, I have to imagine, like, because of the people you're around, like talking about, intellectually about the psychedelic or spooky experience, about consciousness and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Constantly.
Yeah,
Constantly.
yeah.
I mean, that's what 321 Second Street was. Is it was this interlocking, interconnected series of apartments where we all kind of lived in the same building. It was kind of like a big house.
Yeah.
But we had our own apartments, meaning we had our own privacy when we wanted it.
Yeah, yeah.
But if we needed somebody to talk to that literally was somebody that understood what you were talking about, they were right there and available to you.
And I guess I was thinking, like, the way you do, like, because you were just talking about, like, how, it's how hard it is to talk to other people about that type of shit. Like, the right way to do it is to tell a fucking story. Like, that's actually the only way you can transmit that type of information. Like, the only way you would be able to get to other people, like the ideas that you were talking about on 321 Second Street, like, it would be to tell a story about all of that. Like,
right. Which is what this is.
Yeah. And so, like, I wanted to, like, what do you, in your words, like, what do you think the role of storytelling is in, like, human civilization?
It's one of the most important things we do.
Yeah.
And that's why I get so upset when I see the culture turning over the right of storytelling. And when I say right, R-I-T-E.
Yes.
The right of storytelling to Hollywood, to bean counters.
Yeah.
To people that are doing it for no other reason than to take money from your pockets, really.
Yeah.
And to gatekeep the sacred right of storytelling.
And in the process, you've got like a company like Disney fucking monopolizing our children's fucking dreams.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like
it's
we handed that over.
Yeah.
The fact that you have something called the music industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about those two words being together as a phrase,
it's grotesque.
You should become physically ill.
Yeah.
When you think about that, when you think about the movie industry, when you think about the trend in marketing, where marketing people now call themselves storytellers. That's the trend.
Yeah.
I've noticed it on LinkedIn. This is black magic.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Somebody has interjected themselves in between us and the source.
Yes.
We've been talking about that this whole time.
Right.
There's a source where these stories come from.
Yep.
And then there's the receiver of the stories.
Yeah.
And the job of that receiver is to get as close to that source as possible and to take those stories and to hand them on to fellow humans, not to put them behind paywalls.
Right.
And not to parse them out for pennies, but to tell the stories as they're supposed to be told. And most importantly, and I'm going to say this because these paywall people take that as a loophole. Uh-huh. Also, to not let you, when you receive a story, you become that story's shepherd. You have the responsibility of escorting that story through this life.
Yeah.
And not allowing some paywall fucking asshole like Disney or somebody like that to grab their story and monetize it.
Yeah.
That's not what they're like. Oh, it's free, then we can take it. No, that's not what it means. It means you as the storyteller actually now have the responsibility of guarding that story. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like when you have a child, you accept the responsibility.
Yeah. Because stories are powerful. Like, truly. And
necessary.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about, like, the idea when you say, like, that is black magic. It's like, yeah, it is. And if you look back at, like, all of, like, Crowley's writings about, like, the Black Brothers and shit, and, like, who, couldn't cross the abyss and shit. What that, like, it's really talking about is, like, fucking cult leaders and shit. Like, they got close to the source. And then instead of allowing themselves to be dissolved and reassembled, they decided to weaponize that and put their own weaponized filters around that to use this holy object to extract the life force from other people. Like,
they failed at their initiation.
Yeah. It's a perversion of the whole process.
They're broken.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times what they do is they get frustrated about the fact that they failed. They feel the failure was the other side rejecting them.
Right.
Because they know they failed. They know that much.
Yeah, yeah.
What they don't realize is they probably failed because the culture failed them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they didn't have somebody there to tell them what what to do, how to prepare, how to assimilate when you come back. That this even was happening. Most of these people don't even have a context for this.
Right.
They end up doing, like, if they're around the wrong people at the wrong time, they're categorized as crazy.
Yeah.
They're shot up with drugs, which doesn't help them. They're put into situations where that they're not helped, and then they're ostracized. So now they have guilt because I failed, I'm crazy, I'm broken, because they're told all these things.
Right, right.
And so they take it on. So, of course, yeah, like some of those people are going to get angry and try to do something heinous.
Right, right, right.
Because, like, they feel like they've been fucked over because they have.
Because they have, yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The culture failed them in the bigger sense. In the smaller sense, the individuals in the culture failed them. So the people who were elders are not stepping up and being elders.
Yeah.
Of course, most of those elders were failed themselves. So, like, it's all this shit is rolling downhill.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, it's like the descriptions of the Kali Yuga. It's like some of the things you read, you're like, yeah, sounds like what we're going through. It's like there's like definitely retribution that's coming for all the stupid things that we've not been doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So where this goes, I don't know.
Yeah,
but mostly it's that we have allowed some black magicians to hijack our storytelling.
Yeah.
That's really it.
I agree with you 100%.
and our song.
Yeah.
Our song has been hijacked.
Yeah.
Which is a form of storytelling.
Yep. Because I mean, like, storytelling, one way to think about it is as an information technology. It's compression and abstraction of information.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, like I've been saying for a while, like, I think that storytelling is like the first and most important human technology, because, like, you can build a fire, but unless you can tell someone else how to build a fire and, like, in a way that transmits, like, you're not getting anywhere. It's the most important technology.
No, you have to tell those stories about over there's this dark wood that you don't go.
Right, right.
And there's the large dark man. It's like you tell those stories, but basically what you're doing is you're saying there's an area that we know is not good for you.
Right.
For several reasons. It could be any number of reasons. Like, there could be lots of carnivores over there that are waiting for you, predators, like all these things. Like the water may not be good water you should drink over there. Like the plants are not plants you should eat over there, et cetera, et cetera. Like maybe there's, gases venting out of the earth over there, which are not good for you to breathe. There's like all these things that could be happening. So you tell the story in a way that's remembered.
Yep.
And then somebody else tells that story and it's remembered, and you all stay away from that part of the woods.
Right.
That's what it's really about, is the information is transmitted in a mimetic way.
Yep.
That's understandable and relatable and memorable.
And replicable.
And then you tell the story to somebody else, because that is information that's important. And that whole mechanism has been hijacked.
Yeah. So then if you were to, say, build a story engine that could just keep scooping buckets of stories out of the source and throwing it into culture, well, that'd be a hell of a machine.
That's what I was after. I was trying to do it in a way that would be, unadulterated as possible.
Yeah.
Like had as little human input, because I knew enough about what was going on and how it was happening, and I was like, how do I get humans out of this equation? It's like, of course, the human is the receiver of this, because that's what it's intended for.
Yeah. But
how do I get the middleman out of the way?
Yeah. Humans are great at certain parts of the process, but perhaps not so great.
Of course, I mean, we're the receivers.
Yeah.
And we should be the stewards. Like I said, that's one thing that a lot of people don't take on when they create a story. They should.
True.
Is they should be the steward of that story. So, yeah, that's really what it's about, is like, how do we touch source again? What I was thinking is like, is there a way that this could happen? The middleman gets out of the way as much as possible. And it, like as an example, I was using the Scryer. The Scryer basically is also the media organization. It's the editors. It's
right.
Like all those people. Because as you may or may not know, there's a process that happens where somebody comes up with a story. Like, so let's say like the magical story, like somebody writes a script and a studio buys it, or somebody writes a book and a publishing company buys it.
Yeah.
That doesn't end it. It's like there's a process of priests, as I call them, that this work will go through, and it will be touched and blessed by all these people, and it will be almost unrecognizable when it's done.
Yeah.
It will not be the original transmission.
No, it'll be cut up based on like really perverse parameters.
Yeah. Focus groups.
Yeah.
Trends, marketing, like all the things you don't want to have in your story. So how do we get into an area like, is there a way that something that could be built or something that could be taught so that a person, like this was probably naive of me at the time, but I was thinking like, is there something that could be built where a person could go to this thing and say, give me a story from the Netherlands, like from the other realm.
Yeah.
And here's the parameters of like what I wanted to, like here's some stuff that I need. Like basically it would ask you some questions. You would input those questions. It would go through the process, the meta machine, and then it would bring back a story for you.
Yeah.
And it would be specifically your story.
Yeah.
There would be no media organization that was in there at all.
I don't think it was a naive question to ask,
No, but, like, I look at it now and I say, like, did I really think that anybody was going to let me get away with that?
Fair enough.
At the time, I didn't think anybody was paying attention to me, but, like, apparently they were.